Hello, beautiful stitchers. My name is Catherine, and this is my second Flosstube, and I want to thank you for being here today. Today, just like my first video, I'm going to start out with stitching news, so what's going on in the cross-stitch world, then show you some projects and a haul, and finish with a book recommendation. And today, it's going to be a romance novel, so stick around if you're a romance reader. All right. The first news item that I'm going to talk about is just that 1884 Stitchery is hosting their very first retreat. It's called Stitch Shenanigans, and it's happening in October of 2026 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And 1884 Stitchery is an online store. They're not a brick and mortar. They sell used patterns, and then the owner of 1884 Stitchery, McKenna, she explains that she has the rights to reproduce certain old charts. And so she reproduces them, recharts them, reprints them, and they're exclusives on her website. And there are some really interesting, beautiful samplers and other designs as well. So head on over to 1884 Stitchery's website if you want to learn more about their upcoming Stitch Shenanigans retreat in Las Vegas, Nevada in October 2026, or to look at their used patterns or their exclusives. I like to go on their website every few days to look at their used patterns just to see what they have. I'll also link to the 1884 Stitchery Flosstube page below because their Flosstube is just amazing. All right, the second news item is it is the month of May, and so it's Maynia right now. And I had never done Market Maynia before, but I heard about it from a Flosstuber who said, oh, Stitch and Gem created Maynia, which is this event where every Monday in the month of May you start a new pattern that was a release at a Nashville needlework market. And yeah, so I'm doing Maynia, and I'll share some projects from that a little later. The third news item is just that Chelsea from Stitchin' with the Housewives had a baby, so congratulations to her and her family. Next, there's a new store in the cross-stitch world. It's finally a Farm Girl store, and you might know the designer, Finally a Farm Girl. She describes her patterns as primsicle, which she combines the word prim and whimsical, and she's beautiful patterns. She opened up a store called Finally a Farm Girl in Leesburg, Florida, and I looked it up on a map, and it's about an hour outside of Orlando, Florida. So if you're going to Disney World or just visiting Orlando, I think it'd be fun to head on over to Leesburg and go to the Finally a Farm Girl store. I'll link to their Facebook page below because they have like video footage of the store, and Finally a Farm Girl released 3 patterns the day the store opened. It opened on May 2nd, 2026. It looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like there are a ton of models in that store. I think they did a lot of model stitching in advance, which was always fun to see. And then the last bit of news is just that there's a new Flosstube video by Cedar River Linens. They created a shop update, and they don't create a lot of videos, but I think their videos are interesting. It's just about the linen and Ada hand dyed their business. So if you like that kind of business news, I'll link to their new Flosstube video below as well. All right, on to my projects. Well, for those of you who watched my first video, I talked about how I was going to start the Teresa Kogut Curious Bunny pattern, and that I had this linen and I had these dinky dyes, but I didn't have the needle yet because these dinky dyes, I had emailed the owner of, or the dinky dyes company, and they got back to me saying that the needle size to use for these, the jumbuck, is a 22 or 24. And so I went and got new needles. I went to a needlepoint store, actually. It was the first time I went there. It was called the Knitted Nook in near Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they have knitting, they have yarn, but then they also have needlepoint. So it's a yarn and needlepoint store to get needles. And I got these needles. I didn't start the project yet. But I got the needles, and apparently they're all the rage in the needlepoint world right now. They're called tulip needles. I'd never used them. They're, it says 20, well, this is like a combination pack. It has size 22, 23, 24, and 25. And they're tapestry needles, of course. It's Hiroshima needle, it says. They're made in Japan. And on their, like on the little piece of paper that comes with the needle, they show that they polish the needles lengthwise in streaks to minimize contact surface with the fabric. So it's polished in streaks. And I started using one of the needles on just like a regular cross stitch project I was doing. Oh my gosh, it's like butter. I was absolutely thrilled. I've used I've been using the I think they're called Mary Arden needles, but holy smokes, these tulip needles are worth the money. They were expensive, but really enjoyed those. So I didn't start that yet, but it'll start. I was focused on my Nashville start. So my first Maynia start was this pattern, New York Dreamer, My Mother, My Friend. And this was a Nashville release in Nashville 2024. And it's for Mother's Day, but it's late, as are all my cross-stitch presents. So I started stitching this, and I'm using all the called for. I really like this red and pink. This red is Weeks Dye Works Sun-Dried. The pink is Weeks Dye Works Camellia. I think they look beautiful together. This blue is Winnie Bee Blue by Weeks Dye Works. And then the only thing I'm not doing called for is the vine with the leaves on it. So this vine and this vine, it called for DMC 301 too, and that was the only thread that I didn't have, and I wasn't about to go to the store just to get one DMC. And so instead I looked at the color card that I just got, the DMC color card, which I've wanted this so long. I was so happy to get this. Oh my goodness. So I found 301-2 in the color card, which is right here. And then I just looked in my stash and found what I had that was closest to this. And the color I had that was closest to 301-2 was Gentle Arts Chives. And so I think it looks good. And when I look at the front of this, I think, you know, that green, it looks pretty similar to the chives too. Maybe it's a little lighter, but I'm happy with it. I'm almost finished with this. I started this actually at the end of April instead of waiting until May for Maynia, but you know, things happen. I don't always follow the rules for cross stitch. All right, so that was New York Dreamer, Always My Mother, Forever My Friend. I just wanted to show you all this pattern. I'm sorry for the lines. My printer, I don't know why it's doing these weird lines. I just put new ink in it and everything. But anyway, this pattern is a freebie from Nashville 2026. Erica Michaels, she designed so many berries. If you like to stitch berries, go on Erica Michaels' website. You'll see so many. Oh my gosh, she has to have at least 30 berry patterns. But she released this as a freebie for Nashville 2026. So if you want a Nashville market start and you want to do a berry, this would be free to download. And it says 250, and then it says America. There's stars here, an eagle, and I think that it might have words on the side like that you can't see here. But anyway, this pattern, I just downloaded it for free from the Fat Quarter Shop website, so I'll link to the Fat Quarter Shop website below. And then if you want instructions for how to finish the berry, Erica Michaels has a sheet you can print out on her website that explains how to finish a berry. Okay, so And then I just wanted to share a finish that I had from a Nashville 2025 pattern called Bristol Pattern Page by Cross Stitch Antiques. And it's just this page right here from an antique pattern book. The whole antique pattern book is here. I wish that they had reproduced it all, but they just did this page. And I think it was just a lot of fun to stitch. It was lovely. I got this from the Crafty U, which is a cross stitch store right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And when I went there, I was newer to cross stitch, and I asked the woman working there, Julie, I said, what should I stitch this on? It has no call for linen or floss. And she said, oh, it'd be fun to stitch this on perforated paper so it would look more like an actual pattern page. And I thought that was such a good idea. And then I don't know why I didn't do it. I think I was doing a Mill Hill kit at the time and was so frustrated, and I thought I was frustrated with the fact that it was perforated paper. But looking back, I was just frustrated with the fact that I was like using the wrong color thread all the time. I think I started that Mill Hill kit like 4 times. It was really bad. So needless to say, I just was like, oh, I can't do perforated paper anymore. And I instead did the project on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart. And I really like this. I stitched this using silk, and the silk is Classic Colorworks Belle Soie Mer Blue, and it was so fun to stitch with. Oh my goodness. The stitches just laid beautifully. The floss goes right through the fabric, like it's just so easy to do it. There's no like pulling or anything like that. I'm not sure what some of these, like, is this a cat or a lion? I'm not sure what some of these things are, but it was just so fun. I loved it. There is an accent color. There are 2 accent colors. One of them I used Cool Azul by Classic Colorworks. The other one I'm not sure what I used for that. But I really enjoyed this stitch. If you're interested in like these pattern pages, Cross Stitch Antiques, they release other pattern pages too. They have one called Prince Albert's Exhibition 1851 Pattern Album, and then another one called Antique Pattern Album circa 1880. So you can find other antique pattern album pages from Cross Stitch Antiques. This pattern page, they said that motifs from this were found in Bristol samplers and samplers from day schools in England. And it lists a couple of them, one from 1868, the Amelia Fox Bristol sampler, and then another, the Anna Matilda Moss sampler from 1872. So that's fun. And now I'm stitching from the same pattern over 100 years later across the ocean. All right. I also just wanted to share some haul. I went to a store in Noblesville, Indiana called Always in Stitches, and Always in Stitches is huge. It's about a half hour outside of Indianapolis. You walk into the store, it's in a little strip mall. You walk into the store and there's quilting, a ton of fabric, wool applique, cross stitch, and knitting. And the cross stitch area has a full wall of floss, Classic Colorworks, Weeks Dye Works, DMC. It has patterns, and it has a lot of models too. The owner of the store, apparently, she loves to cross stitch, so she does a lot of the models, which were fun to see. I got quite a few patterns there, and so I will go through those. The first is Bittersweet Bird by Teresa Kogut, and I love bittersweet. I am stitching, I have a whip that's another bittersweet, it's called Bittersweet Farm by Teresa Kogut, and it's a house with bittersweet and turkeys and pumpkins. Next is Scatter Kindness. I love the message behind Scatter Kindness, and I also just loved, like, there's no confetti stitching in this. It looks like you can use the same color for quite a while. I enjoy that. The next was Santa's Delivery by Teresa Kogut, and I already bought the stands that these Santas go on. They are made of wood and you just have to paint them. The Santas are stitched on black perforated paper, so I have to get that, and I have to get the floss because I'm already starting to get ready for Christmas. Which brings me to this. This is a kit. It's called Christmas Critters by Rachel's of Greenfield. And when I was in the Always in Stitches store, they had this ornament and I loved it. And I've never done wool applique before, but this kit has a little booklet in it that explains how to do wool applique as if you're a beginner. And it also has everything you need. So I was like, yeah, this seems great. Okay, so I'll go down that rabbit hole in, you know, when it starts to get a little colder. The next thing I got was fabric. I got this 40 count linen plein air by Zweigart. I just really like this. I thought it actually might go real well with the pattern that I got, the Scatter Kindness pattern. Thought this might look really nice. The next one is one I was looking at for a while, and it's Betsy's Halloween Basket by Pansy Patch Quilts, and it's prim. It's not spooky, but it's Halloween, and it has the beautiful Halloween colors in it, like the traditional orange, purple, and then green. The stems and leaves are green here, so I thought that was really, really cute. The next one was by Not Forgotten Farm, and it's Merry Gathering Basket. And this is just 5 called for DMCs, that's it. I love the turkey with those fun feathers, and there's like a light on in some of the windows, and there are pumpkins. I just love this. They had a model of this in the store, and it was done on this fabric, and I also fell in love with the fabric, but it's 30 count old farmhouse linen by Not Forgotten Farm, and I cannot find any Not Forgotten Farm linen online. So I don't know if Not Forgotten Farm no longer creates linen, or maybe they're all sold out. I don't know, but if you know how to get Not Forgotten Farm linen, if you could write that in the comments below, that would be very helpful. It kind of looked like a flax natural color, but a little more gray than that, so. And then this last one is also DMC, just 6 DMC called for. It's Humbug by Hello by Liz Matthews. All right. Next, I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank people for commenting on my last video. I really enjoyed reading the comments. And I had asked people what motifs they like to stitch, and people responded with houses and also modern folk embroidery, which is really, really fun. For this video in the comments, if you'd like to say whether you're starting on something for Maynia, or if you just started a new project, regardless of whether it's for Maynia from National Needlework Market, what you started, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I'll share that next video then. All right, on to the book recommendation. So this is a romance novel. It's called The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And Ali Hazelwood is a contemporary romance author. She writes a lot of female characters who are in science careers. And this book is a fake relationship book. So if you like that plot line in romance novels where there's a couple that gets together and like fakes being together to make another person jealous, or, you know, to please their parents, or so that they're not alone at a wedding, then you'll probably like this book. There's a lot of dialogue, and the characters are really good people, the 2 main characters. I'll read a little bit on the back of this. It says, when a fake relationship between scientists meets the irresistible force of attraction, it throws one woman's carefully calculated theories on love into chaos. So if this sounds like something you would like, then try reading, or go to your local public library and try looking for The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood writes a variety of other romance novels as well, but I think this is one of my favorites that she's written. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon.